Hi everyone, it is I, Craig, your benevolent GM, risen from the sickbed and almost back, almost to full voice. It has been a very long road to recovery, but I am delighted I can finally speak again and tell you that the DYK train is about ready to leave the station once more. If you're not on our Discord or social channels, then A, go and fix that immediately. But B, Matti and I have also released a video at the weekend just gone where we discuss my illness, the remaster, the one-shots, but we also talk about a couple of very cool announcements and discuss the future of this show, of Describe Your Kill. What you're about to listen to here is just an audio version of that video. So if you have watched it, there's nothing new here other than this little intro from myself. Whilst I am here, I've got my notes. A huge thank you to everyone who sent get well soon messages. It's really, really kind. And I cannot fucking wait to start recording with the guys again. Yes, I have missed them, most of them, I should say. Next week, there will be an episode, and that will be the additional one-shot that Matti has recently run for us. We talk about that a little bit in this episode, if you like. Then, all being well, the first proper next episode of the show, where I wrest the GM chair from Matti's sweaty big hands, should be on Wednesday, 5th of June. Come on! Not the limit of my range at the moment, but thank you so much for sticking with us, everyone. We are coming back. We love you all, and we'll see you very soon.
Hello, and welcome back.
Hello.
To Describe Your Kill, a conversation with Craig and Matti. Hello, Craig. How you doing?
Hello, Matti. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It is very good to be back in the virtual studio with you, recording and actually able to hear what you're saying a little bit better. Certainly, I can still hear there's a bit of croak there, but how are you feeling?
There is some croak. I'm feeling far better. So, to anyone who is listening, which is going to be most of our audience, great. We are also trying out some recording tonight. So it's a little bit of video live streaming. I haven't put my makeup on, but you can now see two of the faces, two of the dicks. Well, that's
excuse me.
You can see two of us. So no, I'm
you have to go to the OnlyFans
feeling
for that.
much better. The OnlyFans has really taken off with the husky voice. Yeah. There's a real niche market for GMs who can whisper and get really aggressive about the inability to speak. It's niche, but they pay a lot. It's like a high month.
Well, there you go. We've got to stay in business somehow, haven't we? But you wanted to put in this Q&A for a few reasons. I think mainly because obviously we've just had a little bit of break for your health, and also because you wanted the right of reply, I suppose, on some of the remaster conversation that we had, and just a bit of a catch up on everything that has happened with the one shots that I've been running. And then just talking a little bit about what's coming next, because obviously we've been planning quite a lot in the background for a while, and now certainly that we're getting back into good health. Can I say that? Good health land
better
with you.
Health.
Then it means that we can start to mobilize and actually do some of the stuff that we've been planning for ages. So have I got it right? Is that what you were thinking with this conversation?
So. Yeah, I wrote this outline. So the title of this Google document is called The Missing Week, because when I went away on holiday, which was when we had to we'd between us made that decision, right, to go, I physically can't talk. This fucking illness has taken over my life. It's affecting my work, my marriage. Most importantly, it's affecting Describe Your Kill, which, of course, the world's leading Stolen Fate Adventure Path podcast. It was an issue. So I wrote this outline called The Missing Week because I was like, right, this, bearing in mind this was now 3 weeks ago, I was like, 3 days in the sun, sipping on all-inclusive margaritas. It's going to be fine. I can log in to our recording software remotely. Here's the chat that me and Matt can have. Sorry, guys, we're going to miss a week, but here's the missing week. It's a chat between Craig and Matti. But of course, that was 3 weeks ago, and it's now only just possible that we can do this together. So there's a little bit of this is what it was going to be. Obviously, we've had to pause the show. But Matt, as I'm sure you'll tell us now, we've done an extra flashback episode. And I also wanted to start testing some video streaming stuff and what do we look like, our hideous faces on camera and how that works with our software that we use. So anyway, it's a long way of saying I wanted to go on the record and I've got lots of notes. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think as anyone will know, certainly from hearing the message that I put out on the feed and from the messages we've had going back and forth in the Discord, that this has been, it sucked. It's really sucked. And, you know, I know that you have, more than anyone, have felt the worst, not just because you were you were very unwell as well, but this has hit with such momentum and you've put absolutely everything behind Describe Your Kill. And yeah, I know that it really sucks. So this is also, I think, a really good time to come together and feel excited about being back because we were hoping it was only going to be a week or two most, and it's been, several weeks, and we can't help that.
It's going to end up being a month. Yeah, it's going to end up being 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel really good that we were able to look forward, and I'm glad to hear you talking again. I thought I'd never say that, but what a treat.
You should speak to my wife. She doesn't. The first 3 days, it's funny, but when it's 3 months, it really does kind of lose its sheen a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, thank you, Matti. And I just want to say as well, thank you to anyone who is still listening, because I'm consciously aware that the death of any podcast is then the stopping of it and not producing content. So I just want anyone who is listening or watching, the inconsistency of that. It really means a lot to me to know that we did everything we could to try and make that happen. And I am painfully aware, as Matt says, I do a lot of the work. I'm not looking for praise here, but without me being able to A, GM it, B, edit it, and C, kind of produce and drive it forwards with Matty's help and the rest of the guys, but primarily Matti, it really just had to go. And I'll be honest, I didn't feel like fucking doing anything, Matti, I'm a musician by trade. I'm also very noisy and loud, as everyone, anyone will tell you. So to lose my voice, I have a band that I sing in every summer. We've got gigs. I've got 13 weddings that we're singing at this year. And thinking, fuck, I can't sing anymore. That is brutal. Like, I can't pick up my guitar. I didn't want to. I'm like, no, I'm not playing guitar anymore. I'm not playing my keyboard. You can probably see it in the background, my keyboard and guitars and stuff. I'm like, it makes you not want to do anything. It really does. Well,
especially because not just from having a creative outlet, but just like as an emotional and mental health point of view, like music is a really big saving grace, I think, for both of us and in our lives and growing up. So I know that has been it has been a really shit time for you, and that's why I'm again so excited that we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to be back, and it's going to be so good.
And as that was a long-winded way of me trying to get to. Thank you to you for doing the level up and remaster chat. That was brilliant, and also doing the Boomlick one shot that we did. And this will probably go out before the second one shot, the two shot that we've done. Just because we missed playing, like genuinely missed playing. I obviously don't get to play that often as a character, and I think you did an excellent job. And I'm not going to give anything away of making content that we had to make because of necessity, but still tying it into something that's going to be relevant to when we finally get the Stolen Fate, Death of Destiny train up and running again. So thank you to you and to the players, of course, but fuck those guys, especially to you and to the listeners for listening. And we're so excited to get back soon.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And, it was great to sit in the chair and keep it warm for you a tiny bit. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone thinks of the next one shot that will be coming out shortly. Again, Craig came to me and said, look, want to get back into the space, want to warm up a bit. And would you put together another one shot? And I was really of the opinion that I only wanted to do something that would matter or link back to the campaign in some way, even if it meant we couldn't play the campaign straight away. Obviously, with the first one shot, we were delving into Lupin's backstory because we hadn't done any kind of backstory reveal with him. So to get to see a little bit of younger Lupin and find out where one of his artifacts comes from, it was a meaningful part of the story. So it still felt like we were contributing to it. And so with this one, I've tried to bring that in as well. So I'm really excited for people to hear it, even though it's a bit of a side quest and a spin-off. But yeah, it's a really good, I think, warm up back into. And I think when people hear it, they will understand immediately. Yeah, these guys have been away too long, because the amount of dick jokes that feel like the first few minutes, it was like. I felt like I was trying to wrangle children. It was great. It was just the right energy. I think we've
missed it, right? And the fact that the guys on the Discord are missing it, and I've had messages on social media from some of our fans going, "Look, get well soon." And yeah, I get it, get well soon, but fucking get well soon quickly, because we missed it. And we've missed it as well. We only did 20, 30 episodes. I think we got to 30 episodes before this, and the response that we've had in this time to build to a point where we were literally like, all the momentum was with us, and then fuck you're gonna have some Victorian melody, but now here we are and the machine is starting to run again, so I'm very excited.
Yes it is. So let's talk about really what you haven't been able to talk about and contribute because you had no voice, and that was the level up and the remaster chat. So yes, I think you've given me a few notes on things that you wanted to add in, maybe that we didn't touch on, or maybe that were more interesting because they're from the GM's point of view. Obviously, we were only really looking at it, I suppose, from our players and our selfish kind of own characters angle on how the remaster had affected us. But tell me a little bit about what you wanted to add in.
Yeah, so I think what's interesting is that since we did the Level Up Remaster episode, we then didn't play any Pathfinder, and then we played Pathfinder with a level 3 backstory flashback, the Lupin one, which hopefully you guys have heard. And we've just done another one, which is at a much higher level. And even though it's not with our core characters, it's the first time that we've actually played under remaster rules for both of those. And the reality is, as expected, as I'm sure you agree, Matt, it's made very little difference to our day-to-day playing. Would be fair to say?
I think so, yeah. The only impact for us, I suppose, is where the technology of Foundry, there's still, even though they've done a very, very good job at keeping up for the remaster transition, there was one or two incidences where character sheets had specific things that hadn't updated. And it's really, really little things, but other than that, no, it doesn't really affect the core mechanics.
And I really enjoyed listening to it. I think the points I wanted to highlight was around a lot of people saying alignment is a big change. The fact that it doesn't exist anymore. A character is no longer evil, chaotic evil, neutral good, whatever. The 3x3 square that makes that up, I think, right? I think from a GM perspective, the way I'm going to play it is just because that table and those columns and rows no longer exist, it doesn't mean that the words good and evil and chaotic and neutral, those words are still valid adjectives for describing a character or a monster or a feeling or something. And that's kind of the way I'm going to play it. And I don't know whether that's intended or not, but just because alignment is gone, 9 boxes on a grid, doesn't mean that a monster is not generally considered evil. When they can say, what alignment is it? Okay, I'm not ticking that box. But I can certainly say that these are usually evil creatures I guess it's evil with a lowercase e rather than uppercase.
Yeah, or I was thinking about it in terms of these creatures have a history or like a reputation as being evil. But I think that's really interesting when you think about who is writing that history. So these giants are perceived as being evil and fee fi fo thumb and all of that. And that so you start to think, well, probably that we can make an assumption that the creature is going to be hostile or evil or anything like that. But it allows for so much more nuanced and realistic storytelling, even in this fantasy setting, of having complexity. Because I think to just tar a whole kind of fantasy race as being evil by default is boring and, doesn't really play into the flavor of it. I was thinking about it. Sorry, I've been thinking quite a lot about this, especially since doing the GMing for the one shots, and it was around some of the, like our PCs, for instance, getting rid of alignment for us as well allows for way more nuanced storytelling and character development, because there have been incidences early on where, like Wilhelm, for example, has done a questionable evil thing in like murdering someone who had surrendered, and he plays it as though something has happened that we still don't know about, what's causing him to act that way, this shadow that's overtaking him and everything like that. But still, to just paint him as, well, he's a good character, so he would never do that, or he's a neutral character, I think just adds too much ambiguity, and actually to just have it as people are all spread across that whole alignment chart at all times in different facets of their being, way more interesting.
It tended to be something, though, that was more aligned, excuse the pun, it tended to be more aligned with certain feats and abilities, so your spell can do only damage against evil characters, and that tended to be where alignment actually fell, was on the crunch of Pathfinder. I've only obviously GM'd you guys and some other bits and pieces, and I'm fairly well. I've done a lot of hours GMing, and never really has it come up where a player is so obsessed with, well, I am lawful good, and therefore my alignment box that I've ticked will not allow me to cast this spell on this despairing wretch. Right? Like, it's always seemed more of a mechanics tick rather than a flavor sort of thing. So I'm okay with it. And as you say, good characters can do evil things. I know myself, as an evil character, I can occasionally do good things, like give you hero points. It's all balance. And I think this does help with that a little bit, at least.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. So that was alignment. Was there anything else that you had on the list from the remaster that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, just go through my notes. There's nothing that I don't want to touch too much on it, but the reposition action I absolutely love. I think we as a party, when we've played, even before Describe Your Kill, we would kind of assume the shove action, you could shove to the left or to the right. And I think we kind of played a little bit fast and loose with that. But the fact that it's written down does make me happy, so that when my monster with 20-foot reach can now legally reposition Lupin over a ravine, it makes me happy. So, like that. Recall knowledge. Talking of Lupin, recall knowledge, that is a really good change. It removes, like, for any game that's going to be crunchy and rules based, where they've got a 650 page rule book. I've not played D&D. I get the impression it's far more fluid and subjective around certain things. They won't have a rule for recall knowledge, or it'll be vague. They've cleaned it all up. No ambiguity, especially with a character who's a thaumaturge and doing esoteric lore and stuff. Love it. Happy with that. And what's my other notes? Yeah, and my final point comes back to, we've done now 2 combats, one at level 3 and one at a much higher level. No spoilers. Where actually these rules have not had that much of an impact. I think the biggest one from a GM is that creatures that used to be able to grab for free once they'd had a successful attack. So they would do one action attack. If that attack hits, then if it's got grab, it can do as a second action a completely free, check-free grab. That makes me a little sad. I'm going to have to now roll for that, but no, love it. Absolutely love it. Look forward to it. Let's get stuck in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the most recent one shot, we also had our first instance of the new void damage as well, or void healing.
We did. So, yes. Yeah. No more. Spoilers.
No, but other than that, it's pretty fluid, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, it's definitely a quality of life improvements all round, I think. Let's talk about then, rather than what has happened, let's talk about what's coming up. So, unbelievably, we are still in book 1 of this campaign. Now, we have done a little bit of research, listening to maybe some other playthroughs of Stolen Fate, or you have, and you've kind of said, yeah, they got through book 1 very, very quickly. And I think I had a question initially around how fast or slow do you think we're going? Because it feels, compared to some other campaigns, book 1 in particular has quite a lot of meat in it in terms of all of the stuff you do at the beginning with meeting Arhan and the going through the Grand Bazaar, and then building up the Harrow Heart and all of the was it 6 portals in total?
Yeah.
So what's your kind of take on how have we dillied and dallied, or is it just quite a meaty book 1? Because we're going into chapter 3 now, isn't it?
I think there are 2 important differences from what we do versus maybe what, not necessarily other parties, but when I've listened to other players' podcasts that are doing Stolen Fate. One is that, yes, we are far funnier than any other podcast out there. So I think it's really important that we acknowledge that. And I try to keep
really
a straight
acknowledge
face.
That. Let's acknowledge
everyone
that.
Just take a moment
to think about how funny we are.
I can't laugh properly, because I will start coughing. Oh God. Do we dilly dally? Yeah, I think we do. But you got to remember, we are producing we're producing content, we're producing a show, and that is very different from us playing a home game. And there's going to be differences there, because you probably remember when we started playing Pathfinder together during lockdown. I think Fall of Plaguestone was the first one I GM'd. We would play easy 3 hours, right? 3.5 hours. We had nothing else to do. We were still learning the rules. No one was listening. No one was watching. We were just having a good time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that slowly evolved, and we then played Extinction Curse, and we played Abomination Vaults and stuff. And then to the point where we generated this podcast because I felt like what we were doing in a streamlined fashion, other people might want to hear, inspired, of course, by GCP. Our shows are an hour to an hour and a half per episode, maybe a little bit longer sometimes. That's because it's hard to be entertaining for much longer than that. Like a 1 hour session for us is probably at least an hour and a half recording. And that's not because we're cutting loads of game stuff. It's all the stuff that we can't air.
No, as in it is the waffle. It's the waffle.
It's mainly Chris's turns in combat. But ultimately, sorry, Chris. Yeah. So we are trying, the cameras on us or the microphones on us, in my mind, we are not just recording our game. What we're doing is we're taking our game and, in my opinion, elevating everyone's performance to deliver something that we still enjoy and has that table feel, but is on its own a piece of content that, although not scripted, is still edited down into a format that people can enjoy and hopefully resonates with and find funny.
I think my question was around, compared to the other campaigns we've run, like Extinction Curse and Abomination Vaults, it feels to me like book 1 of Stolen Fate has got so much more potential for it to just for you to do that, to spend that time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like in Extinction Curse and Abomination Vaults, we similarly labored our time because that's what we as a party tend to do. You know, we're not in a hurry. But it still feels like we made more kind of book progress than we have with Stolen Fate. And I was just wondering, do you think that's something to do with the writing or like the way in which it's structured, or is that just down to us, do you think?
So chapter 1 was very quick. Chapter 2 took a while for us. So just so we're clear, you guys just finished chapter 2 and you've just leveled up to level 13. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep. So level 13 to start chapter 3, and that's milestone leveling based on the book. You finish chapter 2, you're going to do it. End of chapter 2, beat the 6 portals. Some of those portals took longer than I thought they would, especially the Sidisarax one. The final portal, believe it or not, was not as written. Karen Bordello was not part of Ron Lundine's story.
Oh.
Yep, I know. Despite how marvelously improv that was.
She, I will say, is a beloved part of the DYK canon. And may God rest her soul.
She's a beloved part of the Morgan. But
in Absalom, yeah. There is an open murder inquiry. Yeah. The Absalom Guard is chasing down all available leads.
That was my way of shutting down your ability to keep going back there for shopping.
Yeah, they were just like, I saw an 8-foot bard fleeing the scene.
Yep. You're wanted for the disappearance and likely murder of Karen Bordello.
The
squibbling squibs have woken up. So look, this is all part of it, right? And every game is going to have that. We are not unique in that. I think where we're learning as players and as performers on this show is the ability to know when to allow that to keep going and then to also turn on the brakes and just go, right, back on track. Let's actually move this story forwards. And there was something, the reason this podcast started, and I've told you this, and this is for my listeners, this is for our listeners as well, is I saw an advert, I think it was for a tourism board for something, but it was long after the story is forgotten, the characters will be remembered. And I'll be honest, that is my mantra for this show and delivering this, is that the story itself is what it is. Okay, it's whatever we want it to be, and I will do my best to turn that into something. But what it really comes down to is long after that's forgotten, is people will remember Aaron Spokepoint. People will remember Malachi, Karen, Aaron, Lupin, D-Rel, Erikanesh, bloody Sidisarax. Like, they will remember these things afterwards.
Yeah.
Far more than they'll remember. What card did they get when they were in the Badlands with Skornak and his... Oh, they remember Skornak when he slapped Lupin. Yeah. Like, silent idiot. You know, they remember that. So, yeah, that's kind of Milton. Where I am with it.
Yeah.
And of course, Milton. Yeah, not even in the book. Milton, who's completely... I put him in there as a kind of guide just to usher us through.
He's the equivalent of like the Microsoft Office paperclip, isn't he?
He is exactly that. He's 100%. He is that. Yeah, Clippy, and you can, you just call for Milton, and he will be there instantly. Sire.
It looks like you're trying to go through a portal, sire. Can I help you with that?
Yeah, I can't quite do his voice yet, so we're going to leave it there.
So tell me, nearly at the end of book 1, we're heading into chapter 3. Can you give any hints on what's to come?
Hints? I'm not going to give you any hints. I think we finished, you guys went and epitomized the remaining cards from the Deck of Destiny. Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe so.
So I'm not going to give too many hints, but what I will, one little hint, is that other than the very first episode, episode 1, Outside 3 Moves Ahead, unless I'm wrong, Matti, has there been a single map where we've had to open physically on a map a door?
I don't think there has been a...
You know, talking about Foundry and the way doors work especially on a mega dungeon type thing. But for us...
No, I don't think there has been. I think everything has been dropping into an outside environment pretty much.
So what I will say as a teaser for chapter 3 of book 1, the last chapter, is that there will be at least one door to open.
Woo!
That's what I'm going to say. I'm looking forward to it.
We now come to the point at which I believe we have an announcement to share. We've been teasing this announcement. At the end of the first one shot, I gave an announcement about an announcement. This is the moment when the announcement is going to happen. Am I right in saying that?
I think so. Yeah. No, I think we're good. I think we're safe to actually announce this one. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It's a biggie. You take it away, because really this is all this is your moment. This is all you're doing. So you take it away.
Martine McCutcheon.
No one is going to know.
It's a really
the Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen level.
Yeah, it's really
celebrity.
Obscure. So the first announcement is one that we've been working super hard behind the scenes to do, and it's something that I think is going to really add to the listener experience. So the first announcement we've got, and actually maybe the only one tonight, but no, we've got a couple. The author, the person, the gentleman himself who wrote book 1 of Stolen Fate, Ron Lundeen, an absolute legend within the Pathfinder community. He now does work for Wizards of the Coast. He's working on Dungeons and Dragons, but he has written some of the most famous Pies of Adventures. He's been involved in the TTRPG scene for many years. He's worked on other adventure paths that we have played, including Extinction Curse and Abomination Vaults. He's had a hand in some of that. But Ron Lundeen, the author of book 1, the book you are all listening to so avidly, the thousands of people, has agreed to give us a post-book 1 interview. So Matti and myself will be interviewing Ron Lundeen on a live chat like this. So this is partly why Matt and I are testing video capabilities and microphones and stuff so that we can see what it's going to look like. But Ron has agreed. He has permission from Wizards of the Coast. He's had to ask them, and we all know what they're like. He has had to ask permission. And they've said yes.
They're a very reputable company of the world's favourite TTRPG game.
They are, and we love them very much.
Yeah. We don't play the game, but we do.
Don't play the game yet. But if not enough people listen to this, we will inevitably switch to 5e. But no, Matt, yeah, you're right. We have got Ron. We've got Ron to speak to, and Ron has been really gracious. He's responded to our messages, and obviously we're a small podcast that is growing quickly, but he loved the idea of it. He has listened to the show, which is equal parts scary and also humbling and amazing. And so we get to talk to him, and we are going to ask him from a player's perspective. Matti and the rest of the players, Jason, Kimon and Chris, are going to come up with their questions, as am I. But what I want to do is for our listeners, what do you want to know about Book 1? Is there anything that you would want to ask the creator of Book 1? And bearing in mind how much is involved with the Harrow deck and the Deck of Destiny, these abilities, the new Harrow Heart plane of existence that we have made and manifested. How much did Ron have to do with that? I don't know. Did Ron write Derail? Did Ron write Eric Kanesh, or did he have help with that? And how are those characters made? Have a think about, is there anything you would like to ask Ron? Send them through to us either on the Discord or at describeyourkill@gmail.com, and we'll ask him. We'll ask him.
Mm-hmm. It's so exciting. It is really, really exciting. I'm personally keen to find out, how do you go about beginning to map out a campaign of this kind of scale, especially where it's over multiple books? And if you're only writing, am I right in saying that he only led writing on the first book? And do you know if he was involved at all in any of the others?
I don't know. His name is not on the cover, so be a good question to ask, maybe.
Yeah, but I'm curious to know kind of how that process works collaboratively, because it's really interesting, isn't it, where we've played other campaigns moving between books, and there is a real kind of end of chapter feeling when you get to the end of a book, and then a real change in tone and themes that come in. And even though it's still appealing to the overarching story that carries the thread across the campaign, each of the writers, I feel, especially the ones who are kind of the leads on the covers, it seems like there's a lot of direction in steering the narrative for that portion of the adventure. And I'm just really interested to know kind of how much freedom did he have in terms of shaping that? How does that then affect how the next writer picks up the mantle for the following book, obviously without spoiling anything. So yeah, really cool.
And I think it's interesting as well because this is a 3-book adventure path, which seems to be the way that Paizo are starting to move towards, rather than these 6-book epics. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think they're certainly not doing 2 of those a year anymore. It might just be 1. They may have even scrapped them, but they certainly aren't doing what they used to. 6 books, it's 3 books. And there was obviously a conscious change there. And I'm interested to know how that affects the story arc. Do they know? Did Ron know when he started it what the end point is? Did he have to do that? Or was it get them to this point and let someone else take off, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe, maybe he won't tell us. maybe he'll just be like, no comment.
But yeah, if anyone has any questions that you want to put to Ron Lundeen about Stolen Fate or about TTRPGs, Paizo, anything like that, then just let us know either in the Discord or on the email. You can find everything at describeyourkill.com.
And also, just to throw it out there, we are not only speaking to Ron, we are speaking with Paizo. Paizo knew who we are. Paizo know who we are. Paizo have been in touch with us. We are in touch with Ron. We obviously did that amazing competition with awesomedice.com. We've got other people. Our audience, although small, is growing. We have got thousands of downloads of people listening to this. So whoever is listening, this is not just some kind of makeshift wannabe podcast. We are going all the way, and we're going to keep driving. I'm going to keep driving. Maddie's going to keep driving until we have something with a big audience, and we're currently exploring new ways of doing that. But you are in at the ground floor, so thank you for being in there. But yeah, any Ron Lundeen questions, get them through to us, and we will put him. I mean, unless it's really inappropriate, don't send like, oh no. You see,
I'll be moderating as a. I'll be moderating questions.
As PR manager, Matti will be.
Yes, I have to go through the filter, and that goes for your questions as well. You have to run. I want them pre-approved.
Yeah, fortunately, it will be live, so there will be an element of being unfiltered. But Ron will have to sign a disclaimer that explicitly states that he won't be able to withdraw at any point during the interview, no matter what Craig says.
He is manacled to the call link, yeah.
But he has insisted that 30 Wizards of the Coast lawyers will be joining us on the call, which I think might lead to a slightly stilted argument. We'll find out what happens.
That's quite restrained, I think, on their part.
Yeah, they wanted more. It's just that Riverside won't allow for more than 33 people. So
they were like, right, we'll concede.
Oh, God. Right, let's move on.
So, Craig, it's been really good to catch up on all of these reflections and talk about some of the exciting stuff that's coming up, like with this Ron Lundeen interview. But what else is coming next for Describe Your Kill in your best guesses? Like, what do you want to see happen as we get back on form and we start to grow this?
Okay, there's 2 parts. There's 2 parts to that answer. The first part is, now that we're having this chat, which is the first time we've really done that, certainly on air, I'd kind of throw that back a little bit to the audience and go, like, what do you want to hear more of? Do you want to hear more of this? Do you want to hear more of me and Matti chatting? Do you want less of me and more of Matti with Jason? Probably not. Or probably not, actually. But maybe Kimone and Matti. Maybe you want to hear more. Do you want to see us streaming video games? I'm not asking you to direct our marketing plan, but we have limited resources. We all work full time. So what's next for Describe Your Kill, in my opinion, is first of all, continue developing the show and putting out a weekly podcast, which I think is brilliant, and hope that other people do also think it's brilliant, and to build our network. That's how it works. Second part, let's find out what other people want. So again, write into us, tell us, Discord, describeyourkill@gmail.com, reviews, whatever it is. The third part though is, I know this is something you're really passionate about, is that we are not too far away from Starfinder 2nd edition. I know you know more about this than I do. So where I think we have a real opportunity is being pioneers of really new game systems where we've got solid understanding of the rules, with fun characters, fun players, and taking that further. I don't know if you've read much of the Starfinder stuff, but I genuinely think that's where there's a real opportunity for us.
Yeah, 100%. And you're right, I am super, super excited about it. I think I've probably mentioned different opportunities throughout the podcast and in the session 0 and on the website. I'm a big sci-fi fan and I love fantasy. I really do. And I thought, for me, sci-fi and fantasy were always very separate things, and I didn't really like previous elements where they'd merged. But then I have spent a bit more time with first edition Starfinder. I've played a few games of it and listened to different media playing Starfinder. And because it is evolving this amazing world that Paizo have created in Pathfinder, bringing it to this unusual setting just like thousands of years later, and how they build on the mythos and the lore of that and introduce really incredible and interesting mechanics. It's really cool. It's really, really interesting to me. I'm particularly excited, as I'm sure so many people are, because they have ditched a lot of the things that I haven't enjoyed as much about first edition Starfinder in its clunkiness, and adopting this mirror system with Pathfinder is a genius idea. The 3-action economy, all of the rest of it. And I think that it does represent a really exciting opportunity for us as content creators in this space to get in at the ground floor, making material with this new system that I think has so much potential, particularly for the way that our format, the way that we tell stories, the way that we make humor. I think a lot of us have a background in loving a lot of sci-fi things as well. You and I particularly were raised on a lot of sci-fi.
Sure.
And so I'm really keen to explore bringing content, and especially in the early days. The playtest is due for release, I believe, if I'm correct in remembering, in August. And I'm already formulating ideas for things that I would like to do with the group to show off what Starfinder 2e looks like. And there's an element of bringing in some homebrew to that early playtest to get to test out some of the things that actually we as players, knowing what we know about Pathfinder and what we've shown to the audience, how can we apply that to Starfinder and properly test it and just show it off? Because in addition to like the system, the setting, there has to be a lot said for, I feel really passionately about Paizo as a group of creatives, their ethos, their ethics, and so for them to be putting so much into making this new system that perfectly pairs with their most popular product, I think I'm really keen to see what they'll do, because I think that they tell some incredible stories, and I want to be involved with that. That's my spiel. That's Starfinder.
If anyone's still awake, then you can find out more at describeyourkill.com. Hey, look, Starfinder is... I've only listened to Androids and Aliens, which I'm sure that a lot of our listeners probably have, from Glass Cannon. I think at times it was a magnificent part of their pantheon in terms of content and the way it works. And I absolutely agree with you that I was actually reading, they put out some stuff this week, Paizo. They put out a test
Test
scenario.
Combat. Yeah.
Yeah, Test Combat. Yeah. And I have a read through it, and it explicitly says there that Starfinder is very much designed around ranged characters. So they put a lot of love into the guns, the weapons, the ammunition. I don't fully understand how those systems work. And it says if you still are a melee character, you can get stuck in. But a system that's designed around range, which I would say Pathfinder 2e is very much not. You are on the outskirts. Most combats are in close quarters. Even on a 100-foot map, that's not that much when you've got lasers that can do 200 feet of damage and stuff.
And most spells have a range of like 30 feet in Pathfinder.
30 feet, yeah, exactly.
And so that's not lending itself to those broad scope battlefields, is it? So
yeah. And I think there's always going to be, for me, there's the rules and the system, which I think we have a very good grip on. Our listeners might disagree, but I don't think they would. We have a pretty good grip on rules.
No, we have been complimented on that. We have been complimented on that.
We have, and if you're complimenting us, keep doing that.
Yes, the check is in the mail.
describeyourkill@gmail.com. But I think even with Starfinder, if they're going to make these two systems homogenous, it's probably the right word where they sit together. If they're going to homogenize those two systems where they are interchangeable, the issue for me then is if we understand the rules and we agree that it's a beautiful system and they can take some of that sci-fi stuff and work it into a beautiful system, then what it really comes down to is the Ron Landines of the world that can take the system and apply it to a beautiful story. And from what I understand, Starfinder First Edition is about to release some mad kaiju mecha Godzilla type story. And I'm absolutely on board with that. So if they can take these mad stories and apply them to space in a much bigger setting, at a galactic planetary level, I'm in, baby.
Yeah, and I think that they can, because they've demonstrated that, and it's not just Paizo, but it's creators and writers who use the Pathfinder system. You know, there is so much material out there and people doing their homebrew games. You know, it lends itself with the worlds that they've built to support you in telling these interesting creative stories. And as you said earlier, it is the characters that make that scenario. And I think that the scope that Starfinder, certainly in First Edition, had with, you know, you've got all of these fantasy races in just the world of Galarian and Pathfinder, but in Starfinder, you're talking about the most bizarre aliens that you can play as, you know, and it is the scope is huge for what you want to focus on, how you want to tell those stories. That's where I get really, really super excited. And think how much lore. There's a whole universe of it. There's a whole universe of lore, baby.
There is, and that can get overwhelming from a GM's perspective, because how big do you want your story to be? Especially when we're running a pre-written adventure path, you know, like the Mortals and Portals guys, they're running their own custom-written adventure based on second edition, and I've got a lot of respect for that, because not only are they having to juggle the system and recording stuff, but someone is there writing an original adventure every time. We're not those guys, but I do believe that we can take someone's template and then magnify it, possibly with Stolen Fate and maybe with other adventures going forwards, and turn them into Describe Your Kill. And hear us five idiots pissing about on a regular basis.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So anything else that you've got kind of on the horizon in your eye?
No, not really. So the only thing left is that we've had quite a few people message us, email us about merchandise and about supporting the show, and we've had some really nice emails and messages from people that are loving what we do, and you know, thank you for all of those. I'm of the view that creating merchandise and stuff should be profitable, but B, also for the general, it has to be good. It has to be good.
It has to be good.
Yeah, it has to be good. I'm not going to make some T-shirt where you buy it and then you wash it 3 times and the horse with the big cross through it has disappeared and washed off. But it is something we're working on. We've got so many plans. The biggest thing for us is to get more people listening, and obviously taking 4 to 6 weeks off it's going to hurt us. But I believe that the quality that we produce will enable us to keep pushing forwards. But the most important part for us is to get back and get recording. So merch potentially coming. When are we coming back?
Big question.
Any ideas, Matt?
Well, very, very soon, because I'm ready to be recording again.
Yeah.
It really comes down to you and how you're feeling.
People might be listening to this and go, he sounds fine. Well, there we go. Maybe I'm not, but I'm not far away. I reckon we are 3 to 4 weeks away. There's no falsetto, so until I can do the voices properly, but my goal is for the first week
from
of June.
Coming back with the campaign, though. We've got some stuff in the interim, haven't we?
Yep.
Like this conversation.
Yeah, so we've got at least we've got this, which you're going to get, and we've got Matti has run another one shot. No spoilers, but that is coming up with the actual first new episode of Stolen Fate, The Death of Destiny, where I am GMing, where I've wrested the chair from Matty's sweaty palms and take Aaron, Lupin, Malachi, and who's the other one? Wilhelm, sorry. Yeah.
I thought you were doing a bit.
I thought I was doing a bit until I actually couldn't remember it.
I've been away for that long. You've forgotten the character's name.
It's been 17 years since we recorded. We are going to have to do a hell of a recap. But no, we're coming back. So early June, Fighting Fit. And that's the plan.
Super excited. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. And I hope you enjoy the content we've got for you in the meanwhile. And that you'll be there to welcome us with open arms when we do get back, because it is going to be so exciting. We've got so much good stuff coming. And I just want to say to the Discord, I know that I'm particularly active in the Discord because I really enjoy seeing all of your messages in there and the way that you guys are just a kind of unprompted, put a load of love out to us. And it was really a huge boost, and not just saying it sincerely. I think you probably get the gist of it, that we've been feeling a bit deflated and a bit flat about everything that's happened, this momentum that we've had to take a bit of a pause. So reading those messages and that love from you guys was just so nice. So thank you. We're really, really grateful.
Thank you, Matti, and thank you for stepping in. Thank you to everyone who listens. And you will be able to see this on YouTube. So it's nothing special. It's just a couple of cameras, but we are testing for future stuff. So do hop on to our YouTube channel and at least see the horrifying visages of Matti and I.
I wish you'd given me some warning that we were filming this, because this lighting
I know, I did throw it on. And to be honest, I've not really dressed up for the occasion either. But
no, the set is not dressed.
Mine's all right. Mine is well good.
Yeah, yours looks lovely. Mine is
all right.
Looks like a bit prison-like. But yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. Great to see you, Craig. Great to hear you. And we are looking forward to being back.
Goodbye, Dix. We love you all. We'll see you soon.
And the cat comes down.